Charles Haley. You're listening to Nothing But Niners.
This is Kyle Juszczyk, and you're listening to Nothing But Niners.
So now they've got to start from deep in their end of the field, and Garrison Hurst takes advantage of it. He takes the handoff, takes to his right, gets to the 20. He's in the 30, needs to cut in. He comes back up the right sideline, breaks a hard tackle, comes down to the 30. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 10. He's down to the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! 96-yard run from scrimmage. Garrison Hurst breaking tackle after tackle, swings down the sideline. Throws off bodies like clothes after a marathon.
Young, back to throw. In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again, to the 35, cuts back at the 30, to the 20, the 50, the 10. He died. Touchdown, 49ers.
Third down, Alex takes the snap. Alex looking down in post, and it's good.
To the second down, Ryan takes the snap, throws the flat to the left side. It's Russell, intercepted. The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption. Navarro Bowman running it all the way for the touchdown. No greater redemption.
The San Francisco 49ers, we can do whatever we want.
Click, click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? It's your boy Mike from the Nothing But Niners crew. And guys, we are here for another fun-filled episode. Today, I'm excited because, one, I get to watch episode 3 of this, The Rise of the 49ers. Tony is going to be with us today. Tony, you take your time down there and you give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready. I got a little intro I'm going to do anyway. All right. But we are doing a watch party of The Rise of the 49ers, the AMC Plus Tom Brady executive produced show about the 49ers and basically the rise of them, right? Like it starts in the 70s, and I am 2 episodes in. I can't wait to watch episode 3. I'm going to be doing that tonight after this show with Tony. So make sure you guys head on over to patreon.com/NB9ERS. I am learning so much about my favorite team. Some of the stuff I've heard, some of it I haven't, but head on over, man, patreon.com/NB9ERS. We are having a good time over there. Give us a follow on some of our other platforms, all right? If it's your first time here on the YouTube channel, you happen to come across us from, I don't know, Super Bowl Talks or something. I have no idea how you found us, but thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hit that like button on the channel, subscribe to the channel, and then turn on your notifications so you know exactly when we are going live. Give us a follow on some of our different social media handles. We got Snapchat and X. Those handles are Nothing But 9, ERS. It's the number 9. And then give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and new to this, TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially on TikTok. The handles are Nothing But Niners, that is spelled all the way out. I am your guy, your host for today's episode, Mike Andrews 83. That is my X handle. You guys can follow me over there. And then I'm going to be joined by our resident GM. His name is Tony. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our guy, Tony, man. Here he comes. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Big Tony is in the building. Drop a bomb on him, baby. Tony, man. All right. Sorry. I went a little crazy with the buttons here, man. I'm in the mood, man. Tony, man, I'm like, I was really down on the 49ers. Like, just the way we went out. I didn't like the lack of adjustments, from week 18 to week 20. I was just really down on, like, the Niners. And I'm sitting here like, I can't believe that this is, like, how we're going out and we didn't learn anything. And then I start watching this Rise of the 49ers thing. And these first 2 episodes, like, I feel like, oh shit, like my dynasty, my favorite team, like they mean something. I feel like we have like a purpose. Like when people talk about like the 49ers standard, like we're not just some regular team in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's what they're talking about. And so what are your thoughts about don't like spoil it for me, although it's all old stuff, right? I guess it's really hard to spoil, but like what are your thoughts on just have you seen it, first of all? Let me know if you've seen it, and then let me know your thoughts on it all. You're on mute.
Yeah, I watched all 4. All 4 episodes.
You did see all 4?
Yeah, I binge watched it all in one night.
Did you like it?
I thought it was excellent. I'll tell you this. Well, can I say it or no?
Oh, you can say what you want. I mean, there's no real spoilers. It's all old stuff. So
I'll tell you this. The Niners should have given Tom Brady the dream to play for his childhood team growing up that one year. They screwed up with that. I mean,
yeah.
Tom Brady, I'll tell you this. my main takeaways. Tom Brady truly loves the 49ers. I still say it to this day, even though he's been a GOAT for another team, I still think he's a diehard Niner fan deep down inside. And, knowing that, we didn't know that on the outside looking in, from the outside looking in, we didn't know that as a fan base. But after watching that, it's clear as day. And, him throwing catches and passes, balls back and forth, but with Jerry and you just saw he was like a kid. And it was just wow, this really means something to him. And I wish Kyle would have brought him in for that year. They probably would have won the Super Bowl, and that man would have rode off into the sunset. And that Super Bowl would have been more important to him than any of the ones that he won with the Patriots. And I stand firm with that after watching this
Just the first two, you can see his passion. And I like that he did a lot of the talking in the first one. Then they started bringing in, Joe Montana and then Steve Young, and they just introduced Jerry Rice in the second one. They also had Turner out there. They had you get to see a lot of the 49ers greats, man. And you know what, guys? I want to correct something. I forgot that tonight is the 49ers honors. They're going to announce the Hall of Fame guys and all that stuff. That starts at 9:00. So after this is over, I'm going to watch that. And I'll see what time it's all over. If it's over before 10:30, then I'll do the episode on Patreon. If not, then we'll just do it tomorrow when I get in for the third Rise of the 49ers. So we will take some time and make sure we watch that, because from my understanding, Roger Craig is finally going to get in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. The original 2K Dundada. Long overdue, man. What do you think about that?
Long overdue. How someone set a record and multiple players that broke that. Well, how Roger Craig was the first person to do 1,000, and another person did it and made it into the Hall of Fame, and he didn't as the original person. It's inexcusable. It's ridiculous. He deserves to be in. He better be in. And I would not be surprised if the 49ers play in Canton because of it next year in the Hall of Fame game. Just one quick thing about the 4-episode thing with the Rise of the Niners. Everyone keeps saying Jed is no Eddie. Jed is no Eddie. You're right. Jed is no Eddie as far as taking, losing, being accepting to, losing, not winning Super Bowls. I'll say that. But I will tell you this. If Eddie was the 49ers owner today, people would have been fired. They would have cut people. But the problem is it wouldn't have been the way Eddie was able to just spend money and bring the people in without worrying about a salary cap. The salary cap.
That's what people don't get, man. I think
the end all for that. And it was funny. It started the year. I think it started the year that Reggie White went from Philly to Green Bay. I think it was 1993. And then that next year, the Niners went out and signed all those players to win that Super Bowl. And then from there on out, it was downhill because of the salary cap. They just kept writing bonus money, and rolling the money down the road. And it got to the point where they couldn't even sign a guy off the street. I mean, you heard me say this numerous times. But
salary cap started in 1994.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's the thing, right? Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done. I apologize. Go ahead, finish.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just going to say, when I watched that, they talked about even how the 49ers Super Bowl rings were different. Eddie wanted the best of the best, and he didn't care. He said everyone else's rings looked like they came from Jostens or like the Andersons or the high school rings, right? And he was like, no, the Niners rings were just different. Even back then, they were different. He got personalized planes, 3 rows wide instead of 2. They talked Eddie paid for that stuff. It's not the same NFL anymore. Eddie took care of the players and their families. It's not the same anymore, guys. And so the stuff that made the players love Eddie and play as hard for the ownership as they did, those days don't exist anymore. Legally, they can't exist. I'm not saying that Eddie wasn't more short-tempered. I'm not saying that Eddie didn't have a better grasp of reality and the tolerance for BS and all that stuff. I'm not saying that he didn't have that. That mindset is that mindset. But I think what made the players fall in love with him and made them so loyal to him is what he did for them outside of the white stripes and outside the locker room.
And Eddie could continue. If Eddie was the owner, he still will do that today. You still could do what he did back then because nothing to do with the league or the cap. Eddie, today, when they travel on the 757 or 737 to wherever, and it's staff, it's the whole organization, the higher ups and ones. I think Kittle's wife travels, a couple player wives travel. But back in the day, Eddie would fly like when they went to the Super Bowl in 1990, the season of 94, but actually in 1995, Eddie brought every player's family with him and put them all up, all to the game, everything. Eddie did. That's the Eddie that could still run today. The Eddie that can't run today is you're fired. I don't give a shit how much I'm paying you. I'm going to spend top dollar on the next guy. That's the Eddie that can't happen today. But as far as the off the field perks, top-notch treatments, top-notch chefs, I do think Jed does that. I do think that
he does. He brought the entire 49ers, anybody who worked in the organization, he took them to the Super Bowl. Like he does do those things still.
The infrastructure of the team, like within the closed doors and the family part of it, I think is still the same. Obviously, it might not be as big as Eddie was or as far out as Eddie let it go, because I guess, renting a plane then and renting a plane today, it's two different costs. It's a lot. So it is what it is. Eddie doesn't want nothing to do with the team. He said it in the show. I don't know if you saw that, but I'll stop with that. I won't say anything. But it is what it is. And Jed has some growing up to do to fill Eddie's shoes as a managing from like an ownership, as far as accepting not winning Super Bowls. I think he needs to change that mindset. But as far as the way they treat them, I think it's still the same.
All right. Let's go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes of this episode, because I think it's going to be a fun one. Tony, if you don't mind, I'm going to pop the comments up on the screen here so we can, if anything catches your attention and you want to respond to something, let me know in there. Now, I want to start with the front office promotion of Al Guido to CEO, and now Jed York is just straight owner. What do you think that means? Why do you think they decided to do that all of a sudden? I know that Jed York's attention has been pulled in other directions and all. Him and Parag, both their attention has been pulled in different directions lately and all. So what are your thoughts of that? Why do you think that happened? Do you think it was necessary? And what do you think it means for, let's be real, the front office going forward?
To be honest with you, I don't understand it. My understanding, Al Guido had a job. Al Guido was in charge of the stadium. Al Guido was in charge of the stadium operations and finding revenue from the stadium. Was responsible for getting revenue to the stadium, meaning concerts, Monster Jam shows, soccer, Super Bowl. That was his job, to keep he was responsible from the stadium part of the 49ers. He was on the committee to fight to try to get the Super Bowl here. They got it. It's this weekend. Unfortunately, we're not in it, but that's a different story. But to put him in charge of football operations, I just don't get it. I think that's a flag to me. That something's not right. John Lynch, I think last year or the year before, was promoted to what was his title? Vice President of Football Operations / General Manager. And, he had his guys under him with Kyle. And now all of a sudden it's this. But, and I don't know if you want to go into this now, what was said on the TV interview.
Yeah, I could pull it up if you want. I can pull it up. So it was announced in September 2023 that they gave him the additional role of president, not vice president, the role of president of football operations. That's what this is.
So they upped him because he was vice president of football operations.
Yeah. They switched it to football operations. Let me pull up what you're talking about here. I'm going to see if I can find that on x.com. And let's search for Jed York, Lynch, K. Adams. All right, here we go.
No, Jed K. Adams.
Yeah, I said Jed York, Lynch, because the question was Lynch. Well, his comment was actually. Oh, I know what to do. I'll just do Jed York and K. Adams, and it'll be in there.
Yeah.
All right. Boom, 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 boom. Oh no, this isn't the one. This is the FIFA one. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Let me see if I can find it. All right. So, well, you could talk about it, and then we'll see.
So, I mean, pretty much back and forth. There was a back and forth. Pretty much, it was a back and forth conversation between Jed York at the Super Bowl site in Santa Clara and Kay Adams. Basically, they were going back and forth saying, you know, the injuries, da 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 da. Something was said about the substation, which, you know, thanks to the individuals that pushed that agenda. The issue is this. What went down, and I caught it, and Mike caught it as well when he heard it, was there was an exchange about injuries. There was a comment was made about taking it serious, a comment about the substation, how it's been there since 87, and Jerry Rice was okay. Another exchange between the injuries, and then Jed turned and said to Kay, well, did you say that to John Lynch? Because if you didn't, maybe you should.
All right, here it is. So,
and I was just like, what?
Yeah, here you go. I got it. Let me take the border off. Let's go to this.
And if I'm not word for word, I'm sorry, but it was a lot going back and forth, and I couldn't.
No, that was damn close though. So, all right, here we go. Let me go share screen. Let's run it back to the beginning and pop it up here. Boom. All right. And let's take this banner off. All right, here we go. Hopefully you guys can hear this. Let me make sure I got the volume up on it. All right, here you go, guys.
But the substation, right? Like the people are talking about injuries.
Yeah.
That's been there since 1987.
Oh, we're going there, Jed? Okay.
That's been there since 1987. Jerry Rice was there.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to affect Jerry Rice. It seems like Jerry Rice can still play today. I don't believe that's something that is a real
everyone's
issue.
being asked about it.
I'm sure.
Lynch, you, I'm sure. Fred Warner was asked about it yesterday. Is there like due diligence being done? Have you researched it, or is it?
We'll look into it, but we've been there since 1987 next to the substation, and this is the first time that somebody has brought it up. It's not like it happened last season. Jerry Rice seemed to be pretty healthy during his career. Like all those guys seem to be pretty healthy during their career. I think we can debunk it.
It's too pragmatic, Jed.
Yeah.
This like critical thinking.
Can't do that.
Well, but then it begs the question, what do we do? What's the next step on it? John Lynch said it yesterday. Your amazing GM said we have to, what did he say? We have to have a plan, like the next few steps. We have like, what are the next things to check off the list of like why this? I mean what I said, Jed. You're healthy, you're in the Super Bowl. You're not. This team specifically.
Did you say that specifically to John?
No, I didn't see John.
You should. All right.
But you know what I mean?
No,
the injuries, it's like the most frustrating, like.
It's unbelievably frustrating. And we need to be better at it.
But what is it?
If I knew, I would wave my magic wand and I would fix it. We need to fix it. We need to make sure that we are healthy. We need to make sure that we are best able to compete. Because you said it, when we're healthy, we're in the Super Bowl.
All right, Tony. What do you think, bro? You gotta take yourself off of mute, though.
Listen, it's. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know this shit. Could it be an issue? Maybe it could. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. But the substation, like you said, has been there since 87. The stadium has been there since 2014. Fully up and operational?
That was our first year in there was the year they got rid of Harbaugh. So
no, Harbaugh opened the stadium.
So that was 14, and then they got rid of him right after that. Yeah.
So 14. It's been fully up and operational since 2014. Have the injuries been that bad continuously from that point till current? Because obviously with a stadium that big that draws that much energy, the substation is probably bigger than what it was in 1987. Because I'm sure they're getting that main source to power that stadium from that substation. So that's something that needs to be like, if there's hard data out there that they can check. I think Jed is coming a little passive, come off a little passive. Even if he thinks it's a crock of shit, still say the right things to appease the fan base. Show that you're interested to get into the bottom of this. I don't know if it's an issue. I don't know if it's an issue, or I don't know if it's the training staff. I don't know. Another thing, right? You're talking about the substation. Is it coincidence that the last 3 or 4 years, the 49ers have been the most heaviest travel team in the league, totaling the most, top 3 most miles traveled? That's up and down in the air, up and down in the air, up and down in the air. That could cause issues. That could cause a stiffness, tightness, where you tweak something coming off the, you know what I'm saying? There could be a multiple of things that could be leading to the main factor here of these injuries. When he originally brought this sports science team in before Ben Peterson left, the Niners were a pretty healthy team. When that guy, before he went to the hockey, he left hockey to come to the Niners, and then he went back to hockey. But while he was here, the Niners were a pretty friggin' healthy team. You had an injury or two, but why is it all of a sudden with the same substation there, with that same stadium, the injuries were good then under Ben Peterson's watch. He left, and the injuries rear their head again. So what is it? I think they need to get to the bottom of it. I honestly think that Jed, Kyle, John, Mirage, whatever the frig his name is, Parag, he wants to be involved. Al Guido now, get his ass involved because he's in head of football. They need to do their due diligence and find what the hell this problem is, and they need to address it. Because I think Kay Adams is spot on. If the 49ers are healthy, they're in the Super Bowl. And it's been a track record. And how many Super Bowls have the Niners been to with Kyle? 2, right?
Yep.
So what are we talking about if they were that injury? If that was such an issue, they would have been decimated since the stadium has been there with no Super Bowl appearances. And that's that. I mean, the 1 year was COVID. That COVID thing was a freak. Like, when we lost, 3 guys versus the Jets on MetLife Stadium field. That was a freak thing because that field is trash, but whatever. Due to restrictions with COVID, you couldn't be 5 feet from 6 feet from each other. You're not really allowed to practice. So injuries will rear its head with that because of your lack of preparation. But someone just said the substation was upgraded in 2024. 2014.
2014. Yeah.
So that's the timeline. That's when the stadium opened. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. But I just don't want this to be an issue for the 49ers to try to make themselves a better team going into the 2026 season. Because these people are pumping this agenda out. They're asking all these players questions, and the players are saying, well, it's a concern. What players might not want to come here. Why would you do that? Like, why would you? If it's a problem, fix the damn problem. Put a steel wall up surrounding the substation. Do something if it's that big of a deal. If it's not, leave it. Change your medical staff. Change your performance staff. Switch things up, right? You fired Steve Wilks because his defense cost you the Super Bowl. You've almost fired Steve Wilks in week 3 when he did a 0 blitz, up 14, and they scored a touchdown with 3 seconds left in the first half. You almost fired him then. do something. Fire this damn performance staff. They have no ties to this fucking organization. Make it better, fix the problem, and get this team healthy so they can play and play deep into the postseason and bring home another damn title. So I'm tired of it.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of changes, I guess we can go ahead and talk on that one now. The 49ers hired Raheem Morris as their defensive coordinator. Now, Tony, I'm sure you've talked about it on some other shows, but let's go ahead and get it out here, man. What were your thoughts on this hire? Let's first start with, before you get into what you think he's going to bring to the table, was this another safe Kyle pick, or was this actually one of the better candidates that was available for them? A combination of the two? Like, just what were your thoughts when you found out Robert Saleh was indeed leaving this year and then hiring Raheem Morris? Like, how do you think that process went?
I think it was I think it was a safe hire. I think it's a combination of one of the better hires and a safe hire. I think the 49ers went in, they did their due diligence on Jim Schwartz. I think the number one guy was Jim Schwartz. Kyle has the utmost respect for him. His defenses are great. It still allows Kocurek to do the wide nine because Kocurek originally worked with Jim Schwartz in that system with the wide nine front under I forgot the goddamn guy's name, but he's familiar with that system and he's ran it previously between the two of them. Kocurek was in Detroit with Schwartz there, so they have a rapport between each other. So I think that was Kyle's go-to. I do think Kyle really has the utmost respect for Raheem Morris. I think Raheem Morris is a good defensive coordinator. I know people are looking at his stats and stuff like that, and like, oh, he's ranked 26th, ranked 15th, ranked 18th, ranked this. That's great. That's fine. What I see on film is what matters to me. I don't give a shit about rankings. If they apply pressure, they get the defense off the field, I'm good with it. I don't give a shit what the rankings are. It's what you see and what you do on the field that counts. So with that being said, Raheem Schwartz was 1A. I'm going to say Raheem was 1B due to the fact of the uncertainty of Jim Schwartz's status with his contract with the Cleveland Browns. He's still not released from that contract. So what should the Niners do? Do they say, you know what? Let's just go try to get Schwartz. We'll wait. Now Raheem Morris gets plucked to a team. And now we don't have a defensive coordinator because now Schwartz doesn't get released, right? So the top scenario, I guess the dream scenario would have been Schwartz and bringing Raheem Morris in as a secondary coach, maybe. Or you go Schwartz with his staff, or you go Gus Bradley, or you get screwed and don't get none of them, and now you're right back in the Nick Sorensen position. So I'm kind of happy that Kyle identified it. But on the flip side of it, the 49ers did something very slick. 2 weeks ago, they interviewed a guy. They requested to interview a guy by the name of Justin Hood, the secondary coach from the Atlanta Falcons, who worked previously with Raheem Morris. And they were denied. And it was for a superior position on the defensive coaching staff. So what I think was going to happen was I think Raheem wanted him to come in as their secondary coach or their passing game coordinator. And then Raheem would have been the defensive coordinator and they would have worked together and, you know, between the two of them and try to revamp this defense and try to get it better. So Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator. I like it. I like it a little bit more than Schwartz because at least you know with Raheem Morris, you're going to see you could potentially see some versatility. You could see more of a hybrid defensive end rather than that typical wide nine look where teams continuously gash us in the run game due to those massive alignments and splits between the defensive tackles and the ends. Is Raheem Morris perfect? No. But I think the trust and the comfort with Raheem Morris as the defensive coordinator for Kyle is a little bit more than what it would have been with Schwartz. Even though Kyle has come out and said he has the utmost respect for Schwartz. So I'm happy with hiring Raheem Morris. I think the secondary coach, I mean, they announced they interviewed what? Raheem, Bradley, and Joe Woods for the defensive coordinator spot in San Francisco. They announced that, I think, like a week ago before they announced Raheem Morris as the hire. Past practice on how this team operates, I'm expecting Joe Woods to be the secondary coach or the passing game coordinator for the 49ers if he doesn't get a full coordinator spot elsewhere. So I'm excited. I like the way the secondary played under Joe Woods when he was here previously. And I'm really excited of the unknown of what this defense could be as far as versatility, hybrid. I'm going to tell you this, it's going to be a little bit more aggressive than what we're used to. It can be more of a mentality of live or die by the blitz. You're going to get Raheem's background is all the way from the Tampa 2 to Vic Fangio to the cover 3 to the cover 4 to a 4 down front to a 3 down front to a 5-man front. So there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of versatility, and that's what I like. And I think that's what needs to happen because the cover 3, cover 4, wide 9 alignment, I think is getting to the point where it's becoming very stale, especially when you don't have the dogs up front to play to get the pressure, as well as the corners to cover, especially if you're playing 5 to 7 yards off the ball and it's 3rd and 6. The odds are working against you instead of in your favor. So I'm excited. I'm interested. And we're not going to find out anything probably until about 3 months from now for the rest of the staff, if there was any other changes. But Bullocks is gone, and he is on the Green Bay Packers as of now.
I don't know if it's going to take that many months. I think once the Super Bowl is done, teams will start getting who they want then. You know what I mean? Because I do think that there are position coaches that other teams are looking for off of some of these staffs. You know what I mean? So they're kind of waiting to announce those things. And then we have to see what's happening. Terry Dome has a comment here. He says, Jeff Stoutland, there it is. He says, Jeff Stoutland's available. Go back up the truck for him. Best O-line coach in the business. Now, but here's my question. Let's say you get him. He's still got to cook with terrible ingredients. So is it worth getting him if you're going to keep the same offensive line coming out here week after week?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to get into that with our free agency when we start hitting into the free agents, potential free agents. But I personally think there could be a quick turnaround for this offensive line, like we spoke about earlier on the phone. But you know, I don't think Kyle will bring him in. I mean, unless something happened with Forrester and he decides to step away from the game, retire, you know, he wants to move on, spend the rest of his, you know, time on this earth with his wife, who was sick, I heard.
Yeah.
I don't see the change coming, but who knows?
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to ask you if there are any other positions that you would want to see the Niners try to upgrade. Position coaches, not players. I'm not talking players in this episode. So, are there any other position coaches that you think the Niners need to shake up? Any groups of performance that have been disappointing that you think maybe we should go out and get a different, you know, secondary coach, a different defensive line coach, offensive line coach, another tight ends coach, right? Like there's a lot that can improve with this team. Another wide receivers coach, maybe. Like, but what do you think, man? Where do you think we could stand to see some improvement in this coaching staff?
When you're in the bottom, when you finish last in sacks, I mean, I think you got to really talk about the defensive line. But I don't think Koseric's going anywhere. I mean, do we chalk it up to injuries and give him a pass? I don't know. I don't know, but that's an issue. I think the linebackers are good. The secondary, Bullocks is gone, so you need new safeties. That's definitely a spot that needs to be addressed. I even think the corners could be addressed. And I even think there's a situation where Joe Woods comes in and just handles the whole secondary. I really do. or they have somebody else up their sleeve to come in and coach the corners or safeties, one or vice versa. The running backs, I think, Kyle really entrusts in certain individuals on this coaching staff. Bobby Turner's one. Forrester's another one. The tight end coach, Fleury, is another one. Kosaric, and the linebacker coach. I forgot his name. Johnny Holland. But
You're saying they're all safe?
I do.
That's terrible, bro. I agree with you, by the way. I do think that they're all safe. I don't think that they all should be safe. I don't think that there's enough excuses in the world for Chris Kosaric still being here. And hell, as many excuses I make for Chris Forrester, I don't think there's a world where his job should be safe, if I'm being honest with you.
See, I think different because I think he's a great coach. I really do. I just think what he's
Which year are you talking about? You talking about Forrester or Kosaric?
No, Forrester.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Forrester's a great coach. I just think what he's given is the issue. And at times, what he makes look good from what he's given is impressive. So that's where I'm at with him. Kosaric, I mean, is the motivation factor and the continuance high intensity a major factor in Kyle's belief in him? Maybe. I mean, maybe that that balls to the wall, get the hell off, whatever it's called. But my problem is when you're ranked dead last, even though injuries are a big issue, they weren't a big issue as much last year. And other than Bosa, where is our secondary pass rush from? So my thing is, this team, it's a triangle effect, right? It's player, front office, coach. So look at the investments in the defensive line. We'll just use the defensive line right now. Javon Kinlaw. Everybody saw the handwriting on the wall with him. Too big, plays too high, chronic knee issues. Didn't work. It was a recipe for a disaster. That's done. Then Drake Jackson, right? They got lucky with Nick Bosa falling into their laps. But the thing is, if you're not giving the coaches the talent to develop, is it the player or is it the coach? Where's the fail-safe line where you say, all right, it's the coach? If you could hand me a guy, like in this draft class, let's just say, who's the top pass rusher? The kid from Texas Tech, Height, I think his name is. I don't even know because I'm not even that far. Hecht, yeah. Let's just say, well, no, because Hecht is undersized. Let's talk about the kid from Missouri. I forgot his name. The defensive end from Missouri. Talented pass rusher, tore up the Senior Bowl, right? Explosive off the line of scrimmage, great hands, all secondary pass rush moves. If you give Kosaric, has a checkered pass too as a background, so I don't know if they'll go that route, but if you give Kosaric a player like that screams.
Zion Young?
Yeah, Zion Young. And is productive at the collegiate level, productive in the Senior Bowl. If you give him that type of player, and now this dude sucks, nothing develops from this dude, now you got to talk about, all right, it's the coach. All right? You want to talk about the offensive line with Forrester? Fine. Let's look at Forrester. undrafted free agent at center. Trent at left tackle. They had Banks at left guard. He just fell off the bed, got paid, totally disappeared. The Packers fans can't stand him. I'm friends with a Packer fan. He's like, he's a bum. Okay, well, he's not here. We don't have to worry about it. We didn't pay him. So, but now you insert Barch, who was plucked off a practice squad. Now you insert who's the guy behind Barch that got hurt? Who are they using?
You talking about the young kid?
Yes. Kobe from Iowa.
Kobe.
They put Kobe in because he had a pretty solid preseason. Can Kobe develop? He could. The kid was literally the 6th or 7th round pick, forced into the lineup. He performed well at times. But then teams started picking up his tendencies and they started attacking his weakness. So he needs a full off season in the weight room and he needs to continue his development. The jury's still out on him. Spencer Burford, right? When he slid from the right side to the left side, at first, when they inserted him, the offensive line took a positive step forward, playing as a unit. It solidified the left side between Trent and Brendel. They were doing better things, but then here comes the buzzsaw of the Seattle front, and Burford was spinning around like a top. Like he didn't know what the hell was going on. All right, everyone's down on Pooney. Pooney, if anything, should be shit. The scouts hit it. The general manager drafted him. They put him in. They inserted him due to an injury. Coach him, got him prepped up and ready to perform as a rookie his whole first year. Second year comes, what happens? He got hurt in preseason. Something that could have been lingering the whole season that we don't know about. They're not honest about their injuries. Oh, Pooney was limited, but he's a go. Why is he limited? You tell me why he's limited, because he's hurt. Right? McKivitz was a guy that was brought off the street, drafted. They cut him, they put him on the practice squad. He was totally off the practice squad. They brought him back to the practice squad. He had this self-check with himself, the commitment part of it, gave it 150%, turned himself into a serviceable right tackle who deserved a second extension from the Niners. Can you chalk that up as a positive for Chris Forrester? I would say yes, because the guy was off the roster and now he's on his second extension. Now, is that a problem with the top about addressing it or not picking the right player? What a draft choice? Maybe. But guess what? Cole McKivitz is a damn serviceable right tackle. And in my opinion, I have no problem with him playing right tackle. Is he perfect? No. I think he's better than McGlinchey, especially in pass protection. McGlinchey used to get forklift every play. So what are we talking about, right? McGlinchey was a former first-round pick. He didn't sign a second contract with the Niners. Is that a knock against Forrester? Or is that Forrester saying, listen, guy, he ain't it? So how do you evaluate the staff? How do you evaluate coaches? There's positives. There's negatives. Right? You got to find what outweighs the one. And then if there's the negative part that's outweighing the positive, now you got to say, well, is it the coaching or is it the people bringing the talent in? That these guys are just not it. Right? I remember we were sitting in the hotel in the draft with our first year without a first-round pick. We drafted Drake Jackson in the bottom of round 2. Right? They sold that kid like he was the next coming of Charles Haley. Right? We didn't know what position he played. We thought he was a linebacker. They announced him as a defensive end. You want to know why? Because they keep flipping him back and forth. Putting weight, dropping weight, putting weight, dropping weight, stand up, hand in the girt, hook the flat zone, dropping coverage. These coaches are ruining these kids. How can you develop when you're trying year in and year out to learn this position, then you're this position, then you're this position? That's the problem. And it's not a knock against Drake Jackson. Unfortunately, he had the same damn injury I have, the patella tendon. That's a massive injury to your knee. His was a clean rupture. Mine's 3/4 ruptured. I can just imagine what that is. Like, you know what I'm saying? But the problem is you don't know what it is. Is it?
Well, you kind of do know what it is. So you just did a great breakdown of the offensive line, right? And you talked about development. You talked about putting guys in and making something out of nothing, and guys that were off the roster now starting and getting second contracts and all that. I think you did a pretty good job of making a case for why Forrester isn't the issue. Can you do that same thing with the defensive line now? Not telling you to come up with why Chris Kosaric isn't the issue. Evaluate that defensive line, and have you seen development from those guys? Are they getting better?
I will tell you this, and I stand very firm by this. From week 1 to week 18 into the playoffs, I think their 2 draft picks made significant progress this year from start to finish. I think CJ West is going to become a problem. I think Alfred Collins is going to become a problem. I think they're still not fully developed, but I see a lot of improvement and a lot of positive traits, right? Something that we didn't see the Niners do often, right? How many times you've seen pass rushers sprint upfield, never put their hands up? Well, guess what Anthony Collins does very well? Puts his hands up in the throwing lanes and knocks down balls, right? He's done it several times this year, right? Is he getting sacks? No, but he's getting close. But he continuously pushes his man in front of him into the backfield. He makes tackles behind the line of scrimmage. He chases plays down from behind, gives effort. Does he get them? No, but he's making the effort. CJ West, right? Kind of got pushed around a little bit. Started learning the techniques. You see him start taking those steps. What did he finish with? 3 sacks this year? 4? 3 or 4 sacks?
Don't get me lying.
I think 3.
Here we go. I pull it up here. CJ West finished the season with
2. Well, 1 was in the playoffs, so I don't know if they count that as a.
I see 2 in the regular season. So yeah.
So it was 3 because he had 1 in the playoffs. I know that.
Yeah.
He did it versus Philly, obviously. So with that being said, you're seeing positive trends, but that's the inside, right? Mikael Williams. I don't give a shit what Mikael Williams says. The downfall of this run defense was the minute Mikael Williams went down. Mm-hmm. This was a top.
It was top 10. We don't have to argue like 6 or 7, but it was up there.
It was a top 10 run defense with Mikael Williams in there as an edge center. Did he need to develop more as a pass rusher? Absolutely. He's raw. The kid's 20 years old. He just turned 21. He's a raw, I think he's 21, or is he 22 now? He's a raw talent. He's gifted. He has size, strength, ability. He sets a mean edge, right? Something that they teach very well at Georgia. Now we got to put the pass rushing pieces together. He had a sack, cut season short from an ACL, right? So talent, production. So far, the top did its job. The bottom did its job. The front office and coaching did their jobs. Okay? So now you got to take him out due to the injury. The 2 defensive tackles that they drafted, the top did their job. The bottom did their job. Jury's still out on them. First season in the books. A lot of positives. So right there, you're at 3 starters for next year. Okay? You sprinkle Nick Bosa back from the ACL. You have your 4 starters going into 2026. 2 of them coming off ACLs. I understand that. But there's positives. So now they make trades, right? They brought in the kid from the Patriots.
Keon White.
Keon White.
Season with a sack and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was good against the run.
Who was a guy that was not even getting dressed because of they switched their scheme there and he wasn't a fit no longer. So a positive by the front office identifying that, trading for him, bringing him here. And I got to be honest with you, I think Keon White was a big positive for this defensive front versus the run, chasing plays down, pressures, sacks, 1.5 sacks. We'll say 2 sacks for him. All right. But the key thing was the pressures, right? He was getting in the backfield. He wasn't getting home, but he was getting in the backfield, causing the quarterback to jump off his platform. So that's another positive. So far, it's favorable for both the front office and the coach. Now we're going to talk about Kalia Davis. The front office drafted him in the latter part of the draft. I think Kalia Davis had a couple sacks, maybe 2 sacks, 2.5 sacks. But the production, right, never really was given the opportunity to become a starting defensive tackle. And by midseason, he lost it. So now we're talking about, is it the front office on the lack of talent, or is it the defensive line coach for the lack of
developing.
So we're going to put him to the left. So right now we have 5 in favor and 5 positive, 1 negative. Elliott, the free agent from Cleveland, up and down. Started off strong versus the run, got banged up, missed the game. I think maybe he had 1 sack this year. So the pass rush production really wasn't there. Versus the run, he was solid at times, but then at times he got pushed down. Front office for spending on a 2-year contract to bring him in as a piece on your rotation up front, because that's originally what he was going to be. Or because remember, Malik Collins was a starter last year. And he's no longer here. Eric Armstead was here. Well, no, Eric Armstead was here last year. 24 into 25, right? No. So Eric Armstead, no. So this is a 50-50 one. So do we say, is he a positive or negative? We'll put him on the negative side. So right now we're at 5-2. Everybody else behind that is a crapshoot, because you're playing with guys that weren't really on the roster, that were picked up at the last minute, and were put into positions to, put in spots to try to help and assist and make plays and to turn this defense around. But it's 5-2 right now with our front top 7. I will tell you this: the main positive is in the playoffs in the latter part of the season. I think the defensive line actually stepped its game up as a unit. Versus the run. I think they had a phenomenal game versus Saquon Barkley. I really do. Other than that one run, they clamped the shit out of his ass in that playoff game as a unit. Oh, I forgot about Sam O. Sam O's another one. I think that Sam O is definitely a positive. That guy was off the scrap heap. They worked with him. They developed him. He led the team in sacks. Cleveland Farrell, another one they pulled off with 4 sacks. That's positive. So you're at 7-2 with 9 guys total.
But we're not talking about development. We're talking about what these were like NFL proven guys, right? Like even when you talk
unemployed.
but even when you talk about like the positives of West and Collins and Michael Williams, right? Those guys were doing everything that we saw them doing on film as Niners. It's exactly what stood out to us the second we drafted them. I remember going crazy, like, look at Alfred Collins getting his hands up. Like, I like this guy, right? We were talking about the things that
they weren't doing that off the jump. They were struggling off the jump. They weren't flying out the gate. They didn't get the start and roll until halfway through the season.
Right.
Where they started getting significant reps. And it was what's his name? West actually got more significant run at first than Collins, and then it flip-flopped. Collins took over, and then West came back into the picture. So that tells me that, yes, they saw the right things, but the in-house development is on a positive trajectory. Because they could have just said, oh, well, week 3, week 4, you're not showing this shit? See ya. Like, go to the back. You got to redo this. And you know what? They redid it. They came back up into the picture, and they performed. And they performed pretty solidly, in my opinion. But I'm taking everybody into this picture as a full picture, whether you were traded for, whether you were off the street, because they're on the street for a reason. They pulled the guy off the street, and he got 4 sacks. That tells me that they're working with him. They're trying to develop these guys to take that step in their careers. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's tough. Like it's tough when you're dealing with the bottom of the barrel, and it's no disrespect to them, but the bottom of the barrel in talent. So if you look at Koceric and you look at Forstner, they're kind of in the same boat. For a team that prioritizes their defensive line, they did no justice for Koceric in 2025. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then I think that we definitely needed to let Bullocks go. I think we're in the same boat there. I think we all need a little happy dance. I have not seen our secondary take a step back like this in a really, really long time. So I think that was a good move for the Niners to get rid of him. And even if they don't bring in, I mean, they have to give somebody that position. So we'll find out how they do it. But Raheem Morris is going to have his hands all over that secondary. Like that's his specialty. You know, he is a true DB's coach, like at heart. Now he knows enough about defense to be a great defensive coordinator. But his love is the secondary. So I have all the confidence in the world that the secondary will improve. Any other position coach? I think Johnny Holland deserves a ton of praise.
Yeah.
Watching how Wallow looked from one game to the next was incredible. You know what I'm saying?
It took Kendricks right off the street, like another one off the street. Yes, he's a veteran. He's a proven veteran, but to pull him off the street, prep him, and get him up and running and play that way versus Philly, it's a lot of prep. That's a lot of coaching. I mean, you know, it does also count that he's a veteran with experience, but still, I think they did the best what they could do with what they had. That's what it comes down to.
It's just interesting to me that when you assess the defensive line and how they did against the run, you focused on the Eagles game, but that Seahawks game, they couldn't stop the run for either one of them, week 18 or week 20. They couldn't stop it at all.
So what does that tell you?
See, it tells me something different than what it's going to tell you. You want me to tell you what it tells me?
Yeah.
You played against the team 3 times and you got dog walked every single time.
Now let me ask you,
got to play them twice a year going forward. That can't be the expectation every time we play Seattle. That's not a positive.
You just asked me if you wanted to bring the coach in from the Philadelphia Eagles, who has a more bigger, more physical offensive line than the Seattle Seahawks, and the 49ers whipped their ass because their center is the weakest link. So what does that tell you?
But that I hear you.
What does that tell you?
That all year long they have been misusing Barkley. All year long. Barkley did not have close to what he was supposed to have.
No, I know that. But my question to you is, what does that tell you? Sometimes bringing in the big name coach isn't that. You want a guy that can mold and bring a guy like Forster, I think is probably, in my opinion, a top 3 offensive line coach in this league. Definitely. I just think with what he's given year in and year out, and the production and the stats. Look at Christian McCaffrey's stats as a rusher, as a pass catcher out of the backfield. Like, production says it. Like, I mean, I'm not willing to say, all right, Forrester, go. And then you bring in this guy who a depleted defensive line clipped your run game with bigger, more physical, talented offensive linemen than the Seattle Seahawks. So who's the better coached offensive line? The Seattle Seahawks. So what does that tell you? Sometimes it ain't all peaches and cream when you see a coach say, I'm done here. Maybe it's the philosophies. Maybe what he wants to do doesn't jive with what they're looking for. I think the Philadelphia organization is a disaster, to be honest with you. From the head coach, who doesn't get along with this one, who doesn't talk with this one, who's fighting on the sidelines. There's no continuity whatsoever with that staff. You bring a kid in who was a former quarterback to run your offense, it's going to be another thing. It's going to be all over again. There's a reason why 3 of your top offensive coordinators turned that job down.
Yeah, I agree.
Think about it.
I completely agree. I agree. But that's why I find it hard to credit. That's exactly my point, though. That's why I find it hard to credit our defensive line against them when clearly there's just a lot going wrong with Philadelphia. I mean, they finished the last couple of games. What was it, like 14 total points in the second half in like 6 games or something like that? Like that team was just falling apart. With a good offensive line or not, they were just falling apart. It was play calling and decision making more than anything else. And that's why I just can't credit the Niners for stopping Saquon the way that I feel like you are. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Saquon's way too good of a back to not credit for stopping him. I'm sorry. That one run, he broke that shit off. He was untouched for 30, 40 yards.
Yeah, for sure.
And say you're not going to give him credit from clamping his ass down after that one run, after making their adjustments, I can't do that.
Oh no, I love the adjustments that they made. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to discredit them.
I'm still giving credit to that defense, 100%. I'm sorry. That's just the way I am. And from an X and O standpoint, and I'm going to say this, and I'm sure the chat is going to rip me a new asshole from saying this, the 49ers should have been ran out of Philadelphia with that offensive line and Saquon Barkley. But it wasn't, because I don't know if it was play calling, if it was their scheme, what they wanted to do. I'm telling you, X and O wise, Philly should have put up 200 yards rushing on that team with ease, just with Saquon Barkley.
What's crazy to me is I felt like it had more to do with the linebackers than it did the defensive line. I'm sorry. I think
exactly. But this is where, if you're not a coach and you don't understand coaching, this is where you can get easily tricked, right?
Right.
If your defensive line is allowing the guards and the center to get to the second level to block the linebackers, that means the defensive line's not doing their job. If the defensive line is allowing the linebackers to play sideline to sideline and make plays, that means the defensive line is doing their job, because they're preventing them to get to the second level. That's why both those guys one had 13, one had 11 tackles, because the linemen were all taken up from the blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me 100% that defensive line played that much better. I mean, granted, not pass rush, not sacks, stuff like that. But when it came to the run, they were tying up those blockers like there's no tomorrow.
Okay.
That's what allowed them to do what they did.
All right. I like it, man. Good talk. Tony, there's a lot of rumblings and all going on about the Niners needing wide receivers and what they're going to do in this draft and all that in free agency. I gotta ask you, man. Do we have a wide receiver one on this team? Don't tell me about who's going to line up as wide receiver one. Is there enough talent
right now? I think we have 3 wide receivers under contract.
And I don't personally think any of them are a wide receiver one.
No.
And there's a lot of people who are really, really high on Pearsall. And this is just me. Now, I did a show with you're good. Oh, this is actually pretty cool. You get to be you're going to get to be the tiebreaker. So I did a show with Zach and Matt. They love Ricky Pearsall. They love him. I did a show with Wayne yesterday. Wayne, not so much. And Wayne and I agreed. I don't think that he's shown to be a good wide receiver run. Can he run routes? Sure. But that's just part of the job, right? So I do a show with Matt and Zach. They say, yes, he is a bona fide wide receiver one. I do a show with Wayne. He says, no, he's not there yet. You are going to be the tiebreaker. Do the 49ers have a wide receiver one right now?
Skill set, yes. But when you only play 5-6 games a year, no. That's why you can't be a wide receiver one.
Do you think if he played all 17 games, we wouldn't be having this conversation?
I think if he stayed healthy, I think he would have the ability to become a number one in this offense. But the most important thing is if you stay healthy, right? If you look at his trajectory, I mean, I don't even know, what do you finish with stat-wise this year?
Yeah, I'll pull that up now. Ricky Pearsall finished the season with Ricky. Oh. All right, here we go. Ricky Pearsall finished this season with 36 receptions, 528 yards.
How many games did he play?
9.
So if you double that, that's
it's 1,056 yards, no touchdowns
on 72 catches.
Yep, 72 catches. That's 14 yards of reception.
I'm sure if he played a full season, there would have been touchdowns. I would give him at least 18 games. I'd give him 7 touchdowns.
What?
But
What?
you wouldn't give him 7 touchdowns in 18 games if he played a full season?
He played in 9 games and had none. That's a lot to get from the last.
Well, I mean, with all due respect, Mike, he's in for the first quarter and he's out for the rest of the game. Every game he played in, except for maybe 2. So, I mean, but the thing, listen, like talent-wise, he could run the routes, he can create the separation. He's shifty, he's got decent hands, he tries the block. He could be a number 1, but he's nowhere near that because he can't stay healthy. He can't play a full game 60 minutes. Never mind 18 games. And it's not, I'm not making fun of the dude, but so the answer is no. But I mean, I honestly feel if he stayed healthy and he didn't have injury issues, I think he potentially could, not now, maybe like in another year, he could develop into a 1. He could.
All right.
I think he could.
All right. Now, here's my other question. You think he could develop into it? But either way, we do need to get some more wide receivers in this building.
Absolutely. You have 3 receivers.
Yeah. How would you address it? Like, so are you looking for a real number 1 in free agency, and then you try to draft depth? So let me just say this, guys. Let me just say this really quick, because we're gonna focus back on the wide receivers. But let me just say this: a lot of people were happy with what they saw from Raheem Mostert's Falcons team with drafting defensive players, specifically linemen, and what the production. He's probably going to have the defensive rookie of the year come from that Atlanta Falcons team, right?
Yeah.
I got bad news for you guys. The Niners are not drafting defensive linemen early. They spent way too much on the defensive line this past draft for them to go out there and do it again. I'm sorry, they're not going to do it early. The first 2 picks are not going to be defensive linemen. I can guarantee it. I guarantee it. Unless somebody falls.
I think if a defensive end falls, I think they pull the trigger.
Now the kid from Missouri, what's going to happen with him, Tony? Like, this guy could go. I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the first round. I also wouldn't be surprised if he went in the 3rd round, right? So this guy, he has an opportunity to raise his draft stock from the combine. That's where he's going to solidify where he gets picked. If he ends up falling because he just doesn't perform well, I can see the Niners maybe moving on him. I do like Zion Young. I'm not going to lie to you. I do think that he's somebody that they could get. And I'm only focusing on him because you mentioned him by name earlier. So with that said, I don't think that there's going to be a big emphasis specifically in the draft on defensive line. I think the Niners are more likely to use this new money that they have in free agency on the defensive line to go out there and get a bona fide player, not just some guy, not another Keon White type guy, not just a guy, not Huff did it pretty good with Robert Saleh, so let's go and get it. I don't think it's going to be one of those things. I think it's going to be a proven commodity, whether we have to trade to get them, like a free agent that's available or someone that's on the team. I think that's how they're going to do it. If there's going to be an acquisition to the defensive line, I don't think they're going to draft it. Now, with that said, how do you address the wide receiver position? Because it's going to be both. It's going to be draft, and it's going to be
definitely drafting. I think they draft multiple, and I even think they sign multiple as undrafted free agents. But if you want to talk about like free agency with this year, I mean, the top guy on the list is Mike Evans, but he's 32 years old. I don't see them, unless he wants to try to do a prove it thing, I don't see them going all in on a Mike Evans. What I could see, like the number 1 target that I think Juwan Jennings is gone because I think someone's going to pay him, probably the Titans. with Solidaire and him being from Tennessee. The number one guy I think right now is going to be the kid from the Colts, Alex Pierce. And Alec Pierce, and he is a true deep threat. Like he could run the routes. He gives effort as a blocker. He could, take off the top of the defense with his speed. I mean, we watched him versus us single-handedly almost beat us with Phillip Rivers as a quarterback. But he's a solid. I mean, he's young, but he's a very young up-and-coming solid prospect. They're projecting him to start at $21 million, I think. Alec Pierce, they're projecting the spot rack. Honestly, Mike, there's not anything that's jumping off this list to me. Some people want Wan'Dale Robinson at 5'10". He's projected to go for $17 million. Honestly, I would pick up the phone. I would call the agent for, and I know you're going to laugh when I say this, because we need bodies. Number one, I would bring Kendrick Bourne back on a 1-year deal for camp. If he makes the 53, fine. You need bodies, right? We have nobody. Second, I would call Dobbs from Green Bay. I understand he's got some concussion issues, but there's no reason why that they can't pick up the phone and bring Dobbs in. He knows this system. He's been in this system his whole career, okay? He's been productive in this system, and it's not going to cost you a massive amount of money, which I think the 49ers are afraid to spend at this position, obviously, due to past practice. So I think Dobbs could be a guy. I think Kendrick Bourne could be a guy. I think they could draft a couple guys. If there's one that falls through the cracks, like a veteran that is teetering like a longevity part in his career, because Jennings, I don't think they're going to bring him back because I think he's going to be looking for too much money. Maybe you want to bring a slot guy in for a chain mover. Do they call and see if Keenan Allen would like to come to San Francisco, even though he's on the back end of his career? I don't know. But they're going to have to add multiple pieces because I do think, due to past practice, they're nervous about investing big with free agents, money-wise. Draft, still too early. I mean, but there's a ton of guys that you could look at the draft. The kid, Cooper from Indiana, I think if you draw a wide receiver up, it's him for the 49ers. I like Malachi Fields, more bigger guy, 6'4", 213. He could play the X. So there's options. There is options out there for them. It's how they want to manipulate their money, right? I mean, I'm not going to go into a full free agent thing, but there's also other areas where you can fill holes pretty quick with veterans and, use the money and now take the draft capital, draft a piece or two that are young, and then be able still to address other needs with potentially chance. Like I'm looking at the free agent pass rushers, Trey Hendricks, Mack, Hassan Reddick, Joe Bosa, Kuntz. Hold on. Let me see here what we got. I mean, I know I was watching your guys show yesterday about Leonard Floyd maybe coming back, see if he fits in. Now, the question is this. This free agency is going to tell you a lot on what this defense could potentially look like, right? If they bring back a player like Leonard Floyd, right? That tells me one of two things. Leonard Floyd could put his hand in the dirt and rush as an edge, opposite of Bosa, but he can also stand up as an outside linebacker, move around the defensive formation and blitz in the A gap or blitz off the edge with that more hybrid look, because he was with the Rams when Raheem Morris was with the Rams. So there's things that you could do. There's another guy from Atlanta that interests me. I saw his name. I just got to find it. He was Arnold Ebiketie. He's 27. He's from they took him from Penn State. 6'3", 250, that hybrid defensive end outside linebacker. another guy that you can move around the formation a little bit, send him on a blitz or a pressure or a design rush. Another guy, Brandon Maffei. There's no reason why Brandon Maffei wouldn't have success in this scheme. So,
Boye Maffei.
Boye Maffei. Sorry, there's no reason why someone like that wouldn't have a chance to have some success in this scheme because he's versatile. He can play down, he can play standing up. So that's what it's going to be interesting to see what they're looking for. When you start seeing them add pieces and you see the player that it is, you'll be able to say, okay, it's going to be the wide 9. Or it's going to be, okay, well, not only could it be the wide 9, but it also could be that versatile hybrid 4-3 front, 3-4-4-3 front. So I'm excited. I think free agency is going to tell us a lot. I don't see them going big on Pitts. I do think they will be in the tight end market for a tight end, but I do not think they go on Pitts because the money that Pitts is going to get and command, I just don't see it.
Okay. All right, man. Yeah, and I agree with your take on the wide receivers. It's going to be a good mix. It's going to be free agents. It's going to be draft. It's going to be undrafted free agents. They're going to see who they can go out there and get. It's gonna be really interesting, man. And it's tough to sit here and try to start talking about draft prospects because we just don't know how it's going to go in free agency. You know what I mean? Like the free agents that the Niners bring in is going to dictate where they draft other positions. You know what I'm saying? So that's the big concern. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I agree.
Do you think the Niners have an issue at the running back position?
They need another piece. And I think I don't know if they're going to bring – and this is why, when they announced the trade for Brian Robinson, I was like, this is great. But they gave up a fucking 6th-round pick for nothing. He's more than likely going to walk. Like, why do that? You know what I'm saying? I will tell you this. It's minimal. But the carries that James got versus Seattle in the fourth quarter, I was kind of impressed with them. He's downhill. He's explosive. He's quick. The kid never fumbled, or he fumbled once at Oregon, or he never fumbled at all at Oregon. So ball security, check there for him, and they love that. But just watching those several carries that he had, you see the decision-making and you see the explosion through the hole. And it's something that, let's keep it real. If the Niners beat Seattle, if the Niners beat Seattle, I don't know if Christian McCaffrey would have been able to make it through the Rams game. Christian McCaffrey was banged the fuck up at the end of that Seattle game. Like, he was hurting, bro. And in 2026, Kyle's got to say, listen, I know he gives us the best thing. If you want to keep him on the field, start putting him as a slot and put another back in the field and let him run the ball. All right? Because clearly Christian McCaffrey, I don't even – how many touches did he have this year? Like 500? I don't even know. Like, it's insane. Not 500, but he had over 100 carries and 80 –
I'm pulling it up. He had 413 touches in the regular season. That's not counting postseason.
But that's a lot.
Yeah, so 500 ain't far-fetched. He played 2 more games, bro. It's not fucking far-fetched. And that's why I'm wondering if we need to do something. Now, let me go on record and say this. Brian Robinson did exactly what the Niners brought him in to do. And he was exactly who the Niners thought he was. He tied his career high as far as yards per carry here. It was only 4.3. So it's not like he disappointed, right? He made the most of every opportunity that he was given. At the same production that he had all of his entire career. So you can't say, oh, Robinson didn't do what we wanted him to do. He just didn't get the opportunities we wanted him to get. They didn't
that's
get
what I'm saying.
Like we thought they were going to.
When I say that, I'm saying like he wasn't given the opportunities to. But why would they bring him in? He was brought in for one reason and one reason only. He should have been brought in to rest McCaffrey for the playoffs, and it was the total opposite.
Right. Yeah.
Brian Robinson was brought in to touch the ball 5 times a game, and that's it. Just for the 5 plays that Christian McCaffrey needed to come off the field, whether it was to take a shit, to get his ankle retaped, or readjust his shoe, whatever it was. That's what he did.
Take a shit.
Like, you know what I'm saying, though? But that's what his job was. And you shouldn't be giving up a 6th-round pick and not extend the guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then we're talking about a small sample size. When to go back to Jordan James, I mean, he had 6 carries in the postseason. Like, it wasn't.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
What you want to see is 6 carries could tell you a lot about what kind of runner he is. Is he hesitant? Right. No, he saw it and he cracks it. He hits it. Like, you see him. You see the vision and you see that step with the explosion. Granted, he wasn't 30 carries for 180 yards rushing with 4 touchdowns, but you see the positive trends. Like, and when you're talking about a kid from Jordan James who wasn't active until week 15, you got to take this little scope and try to see what you could see in this little piece right here.
Right.
And from this little piece, you see why the 49ers drafted him. He gets the ball, he makes his decision, and it's one cut and go. So, you know, are you willing to turn the reins over him as the number 2 next year? Shit, no, you can't. I mean, look at Isaac Guerendo. Guerendo was clearly the number 2 last year. Dude didn't even dress.
Right. Yeah.
His problem was, honestly, I will tell you what his problem is. I think once he got the ball and he saw contact, he closed his eyes. Because he ran into the back of his blockers way too fucking much.
Yeah.
I'm being dead honest with you. Like,
no, you're right. I'm not even
that's the tell-all tale. I could tell when my kids used to run and they'd run into the back of the blocks, I'm like, dude, open your eyes. What do you mean? How do you know my eyes are closed? I said, because you're running into people that you're not supposed to be running into.
Right.
You're supposed to be
running behind someone and running into them are 2 different things.
Yeah, like you're supposed to be running away from them and like going downfield. You're running into the back of your lead block. Like,
right. And we've seen running backs in the NFL run behind players, and like what they do is they tuck the ball high and they put their hands. Yeah. He wasn't doing that shit. He was legitimately just
blinking like
some Three Stooges shit going on out there. I do have a question for you really quick while we're assessing all these different position groups. This is going to be a quick one. I don't think it's going to take a lot of time here. Is Trent Williams good enough for 2026?
Yeah, I think he's coming back. I don't think
I know he's coming back. Is he good enough for 2026?
Yeah, I think so. I think he had a hell of a season this year. He only missed, 1 game?
All right. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to take a lot of time, but I know that a lot of people are concerned about Trent Williams' availability. And one thing I will say, as I watched Trent, I had more and more confidence in him as the season went on.
I mean, you got to be concerned to some point. I mean, he's up in age. He's a more bigger dude. You know, he's carrying more weight on his body. So
is this the year that you draft his replacement? Because they have ignored left tackles.
Well, it all depends on how free agency goes, right? Like, all right. Let's say they can get an offense. Let's say they can get a guard, hypothetically. They grab a mid-tier guard that falls through the crack of free agencies, and they're able to sign him and still put him as a left guard, hypothetically. Then what you could do is you draft a left tackle and let him compete inside at the left guard spot with the free agent that you signed. Right. So now if he beats him, you get rid of the free agent, or you're not spending big money. You put him the rookie is the left guard, and you let them play. And if something happens, you kick him out to left tackle. There's a left tackle in this draft. I'm going to say his name. And he was at the Senior Bowl. I really like him. I think he has talent. I think he needs a year. So it's a perfect situation. J.C. Davis from Illinois. Big physical kid. Left tackle. Shows tendencies as a mauler. Solid pass blocker. Could anchor. Good in the run game. Could get the second level. But you got to see how he tests. How he moves. And stuff like that. But this is a guy that, you know, you go on these mock draft sites, he's going in like 6, 7, bottom of the drafts. What I saw at the Senior Bowl, he's early day 3, late day 3. Pending how he tests, he could be up there. And I think he's a solid player. I really do. I like him. I like what I've seen from him. I think Illinois had a hell of a team this year, running the ball, passing the ball. And like Niner Go just mentioned Austin Barber, another good left tackle from Florida. You know, more finesse. He's a 3-year starter. I think their team captain, their center, Matt Slaughter is another. I don't know if his first name is Matt, but there's a TJ Slaughter. I don't know. His last name is Slaughter. Another solid player from Florida. I know Terra don't like Florida guys, but whatever. I got to say. You know, there's some solid pieces in this draft that they can add. But again, it's all going to be predicated off of what they do in free agency and how they address it. What's their theory? Do they want a more physical offensive line? Do they want to stay finesse? We don't know.
Right.
But I do think there's going to be a slight shift, a little bit, if you will, in philosophy with their offensive line. I do think they're going to go more bigger and more physical than previous years. And, like, you know, we're talking about development and stuff like that before. It's interesting that someone that was drafted by this team kept all 4 years. Nick Zakel, he wasn't given a contract.
Right.
So he's no longer on this roster. So that tells me, okay, they're closing the book on that project. They know they missed. Now, it could be philosophy, or do they want to go bigger? It could be a bunch of things. But at least you're not seeing them retaining and holding the guys just to hold them.
Yeah. And then there's another developmental guy. I can't wait for you to start looking at as far as the tackle goes. The kid from Georgia, Freeling, Monroe Freeling. I think he's going to be.
The 49ers needed a left tackle. If their only need was an offensive lineman in this draft, I would take him at 27. I would take him at 27 and slide him into left guard and play him. And then when Trent's ready to go, slide him to left tackle.
Wow. You think he's going to go that high?
I think just watching him in the bowl games, he's a solid, bro. He's solid. Like, he's not perfect.
No, I liked him a lot. He that's why I said developmental. I like his game. I just don't. He's not finished. He's not
He plays nasty. He's very athletic. He could get to the second level. He can anchor, and he's. I think he might be one of the better offensive lineman prospects from Georgia in recent years. Okay. When he has the chance to be. I think the kid's phenomenal. I like him, but I just don't see them unless they have something up their sleeve. We don't know. I can't answer it, but unless they have something up their sleeve where I don't even know, but I just don't see them going. Because the thing is this, right? How do you explain? Like, not even explain. Your objective is to get to the Super Bowl, get to the playoffs, like they said, and whatever happens in the playoffs happens, right? And Kyle's 100% right? They rolled into the playoffs. They got in. They lost the opportunity to have the home field, right? They lost the number 1 seed at home on their own field with their black uniforms. That didn't work. They go into Philly, slap Philly, and then come back and get slapped by the same team that
whoop the shit out of them.
Prevented them from getting the 1 seed. All right, so now you got to look at your roster and look at their roster and say, all right, well, why did we get slapped? We're not as physical up front in the trenches.
That's it, and
we don't have speed on the offensive skill positions. So they need an infuse of speed, and they need to become more bigger and physical up front. on both sides of the ball. So, I mean, it's things that, yes, they're big needs, no pun intended, but they're needs that are not like, yo, we got no chance next year, bro. No chance. This team's got $50 million in cap space before they even make a decision on Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah. Yep.
And they could redo a contract or two. Like, Brock's the quarterback of this team. They could redo his deal, get money if they want to go all in. They could redo Trent's deal. Trent's a lifetime Niner. He ain't going nowhere.
Right. His next snap that's not going to be for the Niners is going to be at some backyard football game.
Exactly.
Like he's not going anywhere.
You know, Trent has worked with the Niners in the past with restructures and stuff like that. So, you know, there's a good rapport between him and the front office, and that's crucial when you want to try to do these deals. And then when they retire, you go and redo the deal again and really stretch it out so you don't really get hit, boom, when he retires. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But there's opportunity for this team to go all in and try to get, like, I can tell you this, just scheming it and skimming through it, they could easily go out and sign David Njoku right now, who's 29 years old, to come in and be the tight end, pair him up with Tonjes, draft somebody else, move on from Farrell, and you just redid your tight ends until George Kittle comes back, if he comes back, right? Njoku's a pretty solid receiver. He's not the best blocker, but he gives you effort. But he's a receiving threat, and that's what they really, you know.
Did you say get rid of Tonges or you get rid of Farrell?
Farrell.
I was going to say because Farrell's the one that's
you pair Tonges with Njoku.
Gotcha.
So you solidify your tight ends. You want to talk receivers now? You go out. You sign Dobbs. You sign Kendrick Bourne. You draft two guys,
or you break the bank for Pierce. Like I'm not opposed to Alec Pierce coming here.
No, I'm not either. But the thing is this, right? And
Brock can do it.
Is there Alec Pierce in their head on their roster already?
No.
You don't think they view Ricky Pearsall as an Alec Pierce type wide receiver?
I hope not.
If healthy.
That's such a big if, though. Like, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see them going into a bitter war for a wide receiver. Now, what I would love them to do, and I know this has been floating on social media, but when I heard this, I was like, dude, that is the X to the T. Is trade for Addison from Minnesota, but he's got too many off the field problems. But if he had a clean slate, Addison, holy shit, that is the missing link with the speed. But now you look at Addison, who's like 6 foot, 190 pounds, 85 pounds with soaking wet. And then you look over here at Cowling at 5'10", 185 pounds. They're very similar in stature, and they're both fast. But one's healthy and one's not.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, they can go in with Pierce, right? But my question to you is, if it goes to a bidding war, do you see the 49ers locking up $35 million in a receiver when they just unloaded one for 30? Like, do you see them? Do you see them going down that path again? I'm not saying Pierce is going to be the same type of person when he gets money, but do you think, like, Pierce is a good receiver, right? He's a good receiver. Is he a KJ? No, he's not. Jefferson's a different level. Even the kid from Cincinnati is at a different level. My thing is, do they need to allocate that type of money to one player? That's my thinking. Where if you could take $40 million and you could say center, guard, tight end, 2 wide receivers.
Okay. You're saying,
you know what I'm saying?
Cash out. No, I do. I get what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to, like, not say they don't need a number one, but does this offense truly need a number one? Or you can get by with receivers who get open, who create space, who have good hands, and who knows how to run routes. Right?
Yeah,
How do you know, Alex? How do you know this kid doesn't come in here and is just totally overwhelmed from this offense because he's got to learn all three receiver positions? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know where I think the home run hit is Dobbs because he's played in this offense? And it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
I mean, but then you can say the same for Christian Watkins, who's taller and faster than Dobbs, but it's also got the injuries, right? Like, so it's rough.
Dobbs
man.
is more
It's
proven though than Watson. Dobbs is your listen. Dobbs is a damn good wide receiver who wasn't undrafted.
And I think they thought the same thing about Scantling, right? I think that's why they got him from over there. And then it's like, yeah, never mind. And he was here for a sneeze. You know what I'm saying?
You can't compare Scantling to Dobbs, Mike. Come on, you can't. I'm sorry. I can't let you do that, bro. I can't let you do that, bro.
I hear you.
Do me a favor. Pull up Scantling's fucking Wikipedia and count how many teams he's on.
No, I know why they moved on from him. Don't get me wrong.
There's a reason why he's on 15 teams.
Right.
Right? It's don't do that.
This offseason is going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to cover every second of it, man. Listen, I got one more name to throw at you really quick, and I don't even know if he's George Pickens at the wide receiver position. Really quick.
I don't think he'll make it. I don't think he'll make it to free agency. They're stupid if they do.
Okay. All right. Was there anything else you want to touch on? We went for an hour and a half. It's 9:00. The honor show is on now, or about to start. So they've already done the walk-ins and all that stuff. And I do want to see our guy get his name announced. So what do you think?
I hope he gets it. I think he deserves it. I know he's not going to get it. It's probably going to be Mike Vrabel because he's at the Super Bowl. And he took a team that was nothing into something. But I see more of taking a team that's decimated to the wild card, the division finals. So,
oh shit!
Listen, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this, and I stand firm about this. If the 49ers ever fired Kyle Shanahan, I want Mike Vrabel as my coach. I'm sorry. Dude's a phenomenal coach.
Shit.
Dude's a great coach. I'm sorry.
That's a big comment. No, it's a big comment. I'm not not touching it. I'm not disagreeing.
I'm not saying I want him fired, though. Don't.
No, I know.
No.
I missed the super chat here from our guy Sean. He said Pearsall is great if they don't tackle. Perhaps flag football.
Yeah, flag
would be his best thing. I did not expect that response from you.
Did I say that? Oh shit! I definitely did say that, huh?
Oh my God, man! All right,
I can stop.
Let's wrap this thing up, man. Tony, man, listen, this was great. This was a lot of fun. I can't wait to start breaking down free agency and all that stuff. I can't wait for the Super Bowl to be over. You know, I had a come to Jesus moment, Tony, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit it, but I think it's what we need. I think I'm going to be cheering for the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl in our house, Tony. I really do.
I'm out.
Wait. Let me just tell you my reason. Let me just tell you my reason before you jump off.
Go ahead.
Is there anything that could ignite this franchise knowing that they have to deal with the team that just won the Super Bowl and whoop the shit out of them?
No, I think
2 out of their last 3 games.
I think they're ignited already.
I don't know that. You know why I don't know that?
I definitely think they're
because
ignited.
the team is going to hang their excuses on the injuries, and that can't be good enough.
Bro,
I don't want to blame injuries.
Locker room right now.
I know that. I know that. And if they win it, it's even worse. They're celebrating as the visiting team in our locker room, but they've already been there. Like they know this, bro. And I think that if you put that kind of pressure on Kyle, now you got McVay that's won a Super Bowl in since Kyle's been here. You've got McDonald's winning it there. I'm just saying that I think that it'll be an extra little bit of just one more little, take a little push pin and poke somebody in the side. Just a little bit, hey, oh man, because if they lose it, it's like, well, it's whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, shit, you said it yourself. At least we lost to the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah. I said it. I admit it. They're the best team. I'm sorry. There's nothing. Their defense is insane.
I hate watch two different teams in the NFL. 3, if I'm being honest with you guys. It's the Cowboys. Actually, there's 4, but there's different levels to it. It's the Cowboys, it's the Seahawks, it's the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the team, and then there's always the Raiders, right? But the Raiders are a lot harder to hate watch because they're just not good, right? You hate watch teams that can do something good, right? The Cowboys at least put up points, but I love watching them lose. I love watching Jerry Jones's faces and the reactions. I didn't get to see a lot of Seattle losing this year, and so I need I'm gonna hate watch the Super Bowl. I expect Seattle to win, and I think it's just gonna be one more grain of rice on the scale that can tip this thing into our favor, man. He said the Seacock. He got another super chat here from Sean. I'll drop a bomb on it. He said that Seacock comment was the devil, Mike. That's fine. That's fine. I'm just telling you guys, like, I need Kyle to be as motivated as he possibly can be. That's all I got. That's it. What the hell was that? You playing sound effects too?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to get out of here, guys. Thank you all for watching with us, man. Guys, please make sure you turn on ESPN or NBC, whatever the channel is that's showing these honors right now. Make sure you guys get there. Enjoy the show. Tony, thanks for jumping in, man. I appreciate you, big dog. All right?
Yep.
All right, guys. We'll talk soon. We'll see what time this is over, but I doubt that we're going to be doing the episode tonight. So tomorrow we will be back on Patreon for episode 3 of The Rise of the 49ers. Until then, though, I'll see you guys soon. Prepare for glory. Anticipate pain, but always remain faithful. We'll see y'all soon. Peace. Where's my outro music at?
We all gas, no brakes, pumped up, no fakes. We spinning, we winning, we high stakes. We never miss, we all makes. Look at us dudes trying to prove, bringing you news with nothing to lose. Mike, Nick, Tony, Wayne, Method Man, we bring the pain. Hey. See, I'ma confess it. We under the pressure. If you looking to find us,